So, Kuzuzampo, and I'm going to start with the session. So, this is the first sessions that I'm going to begin with. In this session, I'm going to talk about the familiarizations of school biology curriculum. In this, we may like to touch into the science education and the challenges of offering science educations in the school. So before we go into the in-depth of challenges and some of the scope of offering or delivering the biology education, we would like to see through the some of the areas what we are going to cover in the familiarizations of school science curriculum. So when I say science curriculum, because ultimately we have to begin with the science curriculum, then only we will reach to the different disciplines, biology, chemistry, and physics. So let me just outline what we are going to cover in this presentation. Of course, when I say these, I may not be able to everything to be covered up here, but on the school science curriculum, I'm going to look at the following areas. Number one, goal of science education in Bhutan, the principles underpinning the development of science curriculum. We're going to look at principle that is being used to develop the science curriculum for the schools. Then the present curriculum has got these strengths and key stages of learning in a different stages in the science. So that is what we are going to look at as well. And fourth one is update on the teaching skills. We need to keep our teaching pedagogy and the content delivery uh, with the changing times. So we need to follow some of the 21st century skills to deliver our science content. Uh, the typical example that I'm going to cover in this discussion is the inquiry-based learning in science. Uh, fourth one, when we look at the school science assessment component, we see that children are assessed most of the time at the end of the year with the summative style, which means at the end people have to sit for the examination, and children are forced to mug up all the science components, principles, theories, which means children hardly have gained hands-on experience. So here in this component, I'm going to talk about what are the competencies that children has to develop while they learn the science. So focus would be more on hands-on experience. Next, science can be taught in any way, in any form. As we have seen and we have heard that the science is can be totally taught in the classroom. A teacher can simply deliver how the principles is, how the practical can be conducted. Not necessary for the teachers to go to practical rooms and conduct or organize practicals. Or even teachers never take students outside the classroom. But that is not a true style of delivering science contents. So here in this unit, we are going to look at how to create a science learning environment in the school. So you will be exposed with some skills how to develop some environment that will really motivate the children to learn science inside or outside the classroom. The final one, the use of ICT in teaching science or teaching biology is very important. Now, the ICT has become indispensable tool. You cannot separate from the any of the subject. So, we have to use ICT tool to deliver our lessons more effectively, so that children learn much faster and they are able to score better. So ICT plays a big role in children's learning. Next. Now let me just talk about the backgrounds. The science has began from quite some time back. However, there isn't much change on our science curriculum. However, there are few areas where we see some changes happening over a time. We began our modern educations in Bhutan by in the around 1960s, and the changes in the science curriculum began in 1980s. If you look at these red lines are all the one that some of the curriculum has been changed. In 1986, there was an inception of newly approached primary education, where the science is being replaced by the NAVE. Then later again, the science was taught in Jonga in the form of EVS for class PP to 3. Some of the things are still going on. However, many things has changed over the time. There was also a time when general science has come into class 4 to 6, and likewise, and 7 and 8 also have the single science starting 1980s. Otherwise, prior to that, 7 and 8 has biology, chemistry and physics. Likewise, in 1999, this integrated science has began in Bhutan for class 7 and 8. However, this integrated science name has been changed today, and it is called general science, because integrated science and the general science has got different intent to the different intent of learning outcome, because we expect higher level outcome from the integrated science than the general science. These integrated science and general science would be discussed somewhere else in later. I'm going to put it in the VLE. Very soon you will have to read those documents. You have to find out differences between integrated science and the general science. Do we have a general science and integrated science and discipline science in Bhutan? Yes, it is. General science are those science which are for lower classes, and integrated science are those science which are allowed by mixing all chemistry, physics and biology together, and that is called integrated science. That was the intent to start in 7 and 8. However, in the curriculum development process, many of the science was not interconnected each other, and thus now the 7 and 8 science is called general science. Likewise, in 2003 to 6, there was a total revisions of class 6 to 8 teachers manuals, because that helps the teachers to understand better the content as well as the method to deliver the content. 2007 and 2008, there was a need analysis was carried out in Bhutan for science, and based on this finding, the science curriculum has been developed in 2010. So this science curriculum is today very functional. I have already put on the VLE. Please look at that. What is science curriculum framework? Science curriculum framework is they have used certain principle to develop, and according to the needs and according to our context, it has been developed for the Bhutanese children. Okay, going through now some of the thoughts that you might need to ask prior going through all those school curriculum. We assume that we have already completed science education. However, we need to ask questions. What is science? Is the science same as in geography, history, English? Then, if there is no difference, why do we need a different science then? If you think that biology or chemistries are same, why do you need a different discipline? So these are some of the questions that you have to keep in mind. And why do we teach science in the school is another question which is very important. What are the learning outcome of the science teaching in the school? That I'm going to cover in the next slide. Okay, it's very important. Why do we teach science in the school? what are the assumptions and the principle that guides teaching of science? So what do we need to do while you are delivering our lessons as a teacher? So we should have a certain assumption, principle, guidelines that helps the teachers to deliver our lessons very effectively. Uh, the other one, how should we teach science to make a greater impact on the children? It's not that the teachers are the best teachers when he or she can deliver a lessons or talk in front of the students, but how far teachers can convince the children of a particular concept, and how far children are able to uh, write well in the examinations and do well in their life. So any science they learn should be applicable to their life, not for the end exam. If it is for the end exam, that is what is happening in Bhutan. We have to always think about, is the science taught in the classroom is useful to their life? If children learns about connectivity, connections of the light connections, or learn about the fertilizer, are the children able to use these the concept into their day-to-day life? That is why what is the impact of learning? How do we enrich science teaching learning? Now, we have the curriculum materials in hands, and then we always emphasize on teaching the curriculums, what is mentioned in the syllabus. True that we cover only the syllabus, but these syllabus have got wide coverage. It has an intent to make a people positive about the learning. It has an intent to make the people culturally fit to live in a society. It has an intent to make the people very gentle, sober, and who is very much friendly to live on in the community. So science plays a role in different teaching a different values into the people. It may not be so direct, but do our teaching play such a role? That is very important. How do we motivate students to like the science? Today, if you just hear, there are students who don't like to don't like to sorry who don't like to they learn science. That's the reason many people drop science. So how do we make them more passionate about learning science? All right, now as I earlier I have discussed, why do we teach science in the school? I have already uploaded school science curriculum. All right, beside the curriculum framework, there is also a syllabus. So why do we teach biology? Now we are coming to the subject. Why do we teach biology in 9, 10, 11, 12? Now this is what we have to know. This is called learning. There are learning outcomes, expectations of the graduates. So this you'll have to go to the VLE page, look at the syllabus and see it. What is its aim? What is the learning outcome? And the what the society expect out of them. So just for brief here, there is a today there is a growing populations, more need of medicines, more need of a better environment, more need of food. So this can be addressed when the children learn about the biology, right? And then today, in the field of bioscience, there are lot opportunity for them to do and higher studies, and they every day their technologies are changing, and then instruments are becoming more sophisticated. So our children need to know more about it, and that is why this biology still plays a role. And in order to make our reading or any learning relevant, children has to do in some experiment and do investigation, get data, and relate to our lives. This biology is to sustain a life. Biology helps to use thing more judiciously, and preserve our environment for a longer durations. And thanks to our His Majesty the Kings and the the Royal Government of Bhutan, where the emphasis on one of the greenhouse GNS pillar is a sustainable development, and this has really helped us to the management of our environment. Although we have a smaller area of a forest cover, but Bhutan has become one of the biological hotspot in the world. Okay, this is not to discuss so much on the what is science, how is science, but however you need to read about these and then analyze it yourself. Just knowing science doesn't help you, but to look at this, how the science, what is definitions of science. Now, if you know the definition of science, you should also know what is expected to learn from science. There are three things that we need to do in science learning. One is a content. Content is all about the principle, philosophy behind any process. The science learnings are all happens in the process. So anything that happens in the environment, anything that's happening within your body, it's all about the process. So science learning can take place by learning through the process. Once you have observed certain process that is happening around you and also within your body, you should be able to convince other people and communicate them saying what you have observed. So that is what you call the science. Study of science is, if you link all those four things, you will be able to define the science well. Okay, now certain fundamental principle that you need to keep in mind, as I said earlier, the whenever you are studying a science, you have to begin with looking at certain objects, making certain patterns, looking at a certain phenomenons, and then you are trying to generalize it, and that is what you call scientific process. Now, sorry, I'm going for next slide. Why should we change our science instructions? Instruction means our science delivery. Today, most of the things are told, and students hear. Teachers tell, students hears, and these teachers are not really exposing our children to hands-on. So what our science should be? Science should be providing hands-on experience with a lot of fun and interest, some interesting activities. So that will actually motivate from inside children wanting to learn, try on their own. So that will lead to innovations, invention. So if you don't provide the hands-on experience, just theoretical concepts, then children will try to read the books rather than going outside and trying something. That is why we see less innovation, less experiment, less discovery in Bhutan. So hands-on experience actually provides students to be more positive towards science and develop a lot of communication skills, because they need to tell the people. So such opportunities are lacking in our teaching learning. Hands-on experience also provides some kind of opportunity for the children to actually to address some of the challenges, because they will be able to find out a solution through experiments. Alright, now we are going to look at some of the goals, but in these prior looking to the goals, these goals has been developed looking at these three inspirations. Like in Bhutan, we know that in Bhutan we have quite a number of challenges within our society. Like for example, challenge is not foods are not sufficient. Let's just take it a one. So how do we make it sufficient food for our population? This can be very well done by just by learning biology and taking the scope of biology into play in our society, meaning we can do better agriculture, better farming to produce more foods. Likewise, there are knowledge need to be constructed by experiments, and also how the learner learns. It's not all that experiment and then observations, only the some guidance principles that helps the children. You teachers must find out ways and means how children learns. So we have to be always be flexible. You have to find out the best methods that can really suit our children's learning. You should help the children to get a higher score. You should make your children better in communication. You should make your children to be able to communicate well, and should be able to become much better human in the society. Okay, then now these are the different goals. There are 10 goals. I'm not going to read all about all each goals, but what what you have to do is you may like to see yourself go through, and maybe if needed, then I will discuss later with individuals who need a support. This rate one, just highlighted one, is very important. Why? What is the goal? Goal is to provide an inquiry based learning style, provide investigations skills, provide a problem solving skills, provide a logical reasoning skills. You know that sometimes people talk without any logical reasons, so there should be some evidence based evidences, and also there should be some kind of a support from where you are talking. So this is all happens if you learn a science through hands-on. Okay, then I would go to next slides. Is yeah, this is one thing. The most of the science learning in Bhutan is all localized. We study the environmental or the ecological problem and their consequences, and not we leave only the challenges there. We need our science should focus on finding out the solution. So this just I share you the two goals of the science education in Bhutan, and there are 10. Please try to read yourself and then see it. Try to understand each one, because these are some of the things that you should keep in mind while you are delivering a lessons in the school. What is the aim of teaching science? What is the aim of teaching biology in class 11 or 12? The goal remains the same for all, and that is why these 10 goals are very important for all the teachers. All right, now today we have the new curriculum, science curriculum framework. If you have already gone through, I like each one of you to read the science curriculum. The background that I said, it is already there. The goal which I just finished, that is there, and the syllabus has got the what is the outcome of learning, aims and objectives. Please go through those. Now, in the science curriculum, today we talk about the strand and the key stages. Probably this just for your understanding. I'd like to share you what is a strand, what is key stages. Strands are now starting from PP to 12. They study uh, 4 areas called strand. 4 area. One is working scientifically, meaning whether it's in a PP or in 12, all the children has to do investigation, perform experiment in the laboratory, or do something practically and then learn. That is called scientific, working scientifically. Next is uh, studying about the life processes, what happens with the living organisms, how the living organisms interact with the non-living organisms, and these are the life process which start from PP to 12. Similarly, the materials and their properties begins from again from PP to 12, which talks about all the chemical things that is around us, be stone, rocks, what it is made up of, what air is made up of. Now, fourth one is the physical phenomenon, like how the rainbow is formed, how the water vapor is formed, how the water vapor condenses into ice, and then how the ice has got a different, reflective powers, or how the light travels. These are some of the phenomenons, and this phenomenon is discussed again from PP to class 12. That is a fourth strand. So which means every children get an opportunity to learn about these 4 different strands from PP to 12. However, the level of the learning is different. At the lower classes, it may be very on the surface. It's very shallow, whereas in the higher classes, it will be much in depth. and they need to investigate things on their own. Therefore, the in the higher classes we call biology, chemistry, physics, and practicals. Okay, now how the stages has been, how the level is being categorized here. Now these four scientific strand has been divided into different levels. First level is PP23. They have a similar content. 4 to 6 has got key stages to have a similar content. 7 and 8 has got almost similar level of content, and 9 and 10 has got similar level of content, and 11 12 has got a similar level of content, which means the content is totally developed on this four strands, and the level is different. There are 5 different levels. Okay, this is the same which I have already explained to you. So working scientifically, these are the 4 different strands. I'm not going to talk about much on this because I just finished. Now this is again key stages which I said to you. Again, I don't have to repeat because this which you have already heard from me. Please read through. Then yeah, it's the okay key stage is 5. Then I have the last one slide which will be talk about again. Think about. Let's think about which is important. What to teach? Is this the content important? What to teach? What to teach is what content do I need to teach? Do I know that? Is that important? Okay. Next, how to teach? Even if I know the content, how do I teach? If I don't have a proper way of teaching and my children doesn't understand, my children are not able to keep in mind and not able to write exam well, then is that a good teaching? So is the teaching important then? Is the content important? Is the teaching important? Third one, do you like your students to learn on their own? Do you like to encourage your students so that even in your absence, children keeps on doing things and learns a lot? Or you want to teach what you want to teach? You don't want to expose your children beyond what you have taught. Do you like your children to all the time remain within your boundary? Do you like your children to go outside and learn on their own? Do you like to just give an exposure to your children? So these are the third questions. Do you like to give an independence to your children to learn the content? So this is called facilitate the learning. Teachers just provide them, guidance, support, and then, encourage them, motivate them to learn newer concepts, and which ultimately children become very independent learner. So these are the 3 areas that you need to keep in mind and select which one you think is the best, or all of them. If all of them, then you need to put your reasons. Okay, so probably if you have to put reasons, I'm going to give you 2 activities would be there where you will be writing. One is you will be writing this. I'll going to very soon put one Padlet forum on the, you will see forum where you will start writing your the idea. What do you need? Do you need these and do you need that? And but you have your own justification. Please read books. Try to tell me why do you need to select those 3 different things. In order to do that, you have these. You should know about learning outcome, learning experiences, aims, and objective of teaching biology. All right. Please refer to VLE and try answering on the Padlet. The space is provided for you. Thank you. I hope this will really help you. If there are questions, please ask me when we meet next time. Thank you.